What's on Your Mind is sponsored by ACC 339 Dudley Road, New Style Radio 98.7 FM, Breakthrough Studios, and Reggae Jam Jam.
Good afternoon, guys. How you doing? Let me say welcome to another program, the series of What's on Your Mind. Program is produced by Breakthrough TV, and I am Carl. This is a live stream, so you can actually share the program now. I want to say a big shout out to all you guys who supported the program. Let me say a big thanks to you. I want to say a big shout out to Angela. How you doing? Hope all is well with you. I want to say a big shout out to Sister Marian Cameron. I know you always supported the program. Let me give you a big shout out. I meant to do this a few times, but I haven't sort of get around to it. But I've actually get around to it now. I want to say a big shout out to you, Beulah. How you doing? Hope all is well with you. Heather, let me say a big shout out to you. Rose, Jade, Michelle, Sean, Colin, Donna, big shout out to you. Hector McClue, let me say a big shout out to you. My whole family in Jamaica, let me say a big shout out to you. United States and Canada, big shout out to you. So many of us can't give you all of your shouts. And let me say a big thanks for all you guys in Africa who actually supported the program, and let me say thank you. It's massive respect, as I say, you taking your time out and say supporting the program. Yeah. And in the studio this afternoon, I got a wonderful guest. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. Yeah. My guest is Cherry. How you doing, Cherry?
Hi, Carl. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you.
That's good.
Let me say welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
What have you been up to?
We've been doing quite a few things. On Saturday at Whittick Manor,
Okay.
Reggae Rocks did a history of reggae trail, which was kind of massive.
Was it?
Yeah.
And you have actually been here before, because we talked some time ago, and I think it was actually week 104. See, I remember.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did that went? Because you was actually plugging an event when you actually came here. So how did that went?
We completed the Y event.
Yeah, that's right.
We did that at Cannon Hill,
Yeah.
and we had Simmer Down going on at the same time.
Mhm.
So it was kind of rocky, but it was amazing.
Great.
We're doing
great.
another one at Paisley Studios on the 11th of November.
That's great. That's great. And you're a very big music fan also. You love your music and your genres of music and all that sort of thing.
I do.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about music this afternoon. I've been trying to get somebody in the studio to just talk about music. And I've invited you, so many of you, to come and talk about music. So we're gonna actually talk about music actually this afternoon. And what do you do for say a day job, a 9 to 5, or 3 to 6, or 6 to 2, or 2 to 10?
My day job, I do security.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you find it?
It's interesting, very interesting.
Who do you sort of work for?
I work for the Leon Group, TLG.
Okay. Yeah.
We have various people that we support as security.
Yeah.
So boxing matches, football, schools.
Football.
Yeah.
I don't mind school, but football. How do you manage with football?
We get to search a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just making sure that everybody's safe
Is
the key.
And how long have you do that?
I've been doing that for nearly a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like it?
I do.
Yeah.
So it's, as I said, very interesting.
It is very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
especially as a female.
as a female.
So there are several of us that.
I was just going to ask you that. Is there a lot of female?
There are quite a few of us that do that.
Yeah.
Do it as a job.
That's great. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great to see that. It's great to see that's sort of happening.
It's all fun. It's very interesting.
It's all fun.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Right, guys, I'm going to let me say thank you, Cherry. I'm going to look at a few things that's happening on the news, a couple of big things that's been happening. Now, I actually talked about this story last week, and it concerned the XL Bulldog. Now, the Prime Minister has promised that he's actually going to ban the dog by the end of the year. And this is because of in recent weeks, there have been quite a few different attacks by this bulldog, you know what I mean, on different people, and it's an American, American XL Bulldog, which is what you call interbreeds, you know what I mean. So he said he's going to ban it, and this also comes after last weekend. A 11-year-old girl was actually attacked by this dog, you know what I mean, and 2 men was actually injured, and a couple of days after that, a man in Staffordshire has actually died, you know what I mean. So he says he's actually going to ban it. So we'll wait and see actually what's happened. But it won't be easy for the Prime Minister, because I think those dogs, you can actually breed them with something else again. You know what I mean? So the genes probably will, if they start breeding it again, the genes will probably actually go somewhere else as well, into another dog. You know what I mean, or another breed of dog. So as I say, we'll see what happens with that. And I gotta say, I mean, I've talked to quite a few people who actually owns these dogs. You know what I mean? And I talked to quite a few people. And my main aim at this, and I was talking about this last week. My main aim at this, I can only say, it's the owners.
Yeah.
If the owners doesn't train their dog properly, you know what I mean, what's going to happen? It has to be the owners, you know what I mean? So, and one lady in the West Midlands, Emma, she says, my dog is very, very good. I look after my dog and I train my dog very, very well, you know what I mean? And what is going to happen here now, it's like what we always say, the good will suffer for the bad, because the good pet owners who looks after their pet and train their pet properly, they are going to be suffering if this ban comes in. Tell me about dogs. What do you think about dogs?
I'm not really a
woof
dog
woof
person.
You're like a woof woof person.
But I do think, yeah, it comes down to the responsibility of the owners.
Yes.
But I am finding and noticing that a lot of people are training their dogs to attack.
Yes.
Or to be protectors of their property or their households.
Yeah.
And maybe that's going the wrong way for them at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, I jog and I walk a lot, and I've been doing this for years, you know what I mean? It's how I get my exercise. And what I've noticed sometimes when I'm jogging or even walking, I see some dogs and they're very, very fierce, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They look very, very fierce, and they sort of look very, very frightening. So you have to be aware, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, you know, you need to keep your dog on a lead, because if he comes and attack me or something like that, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You suddenly start thinking that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as I say, I'm not blaming the good owners or the good trainers who look after their dog, you know what I mean? But as I say, my point is, it's the owners. It's like you've got a house, if you've got a child, or whatever you have, you know what I mean? You have to look after it and train it, or you got to look after your house, you got to look after your children. You have to do something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if that is not happening, then the good will always suffer for the bad. Yeah. And I'd like to know what you guys are thinking. I mean, leave your comments up, and let's see how this sort of pans out. Yeah. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Now, Russell Brand. Now, Russell Brand has been all over the news. And British police said on Monday they have received sexual assault allegations after the media outlet published crimes against him. As I say, the comedian, and he's actually he's actually been accused of assault allegations. He's actually been accused of rape and also emotional abuse. However, he's actually denied it, and as I say, it's one of the biggest thing out there at the moment. And they say he's actually denied it. What do you think of Russell Brand?
At the moment, I think it may be a distraction.
In what
from other things.
In what context?
Well, I've seen a few things, and it's alleged that he's spoke out politically about a few
different things.
Things that have happened over the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. So I think maybe they may be picking on him. I'm not saying he's not guilty.
Yes.
And as they say, not guilty until charged. Mm-hmm. Innocent till proven guilty. So we'll just see what happens.
I mean, I myself, as I say, I got women who is my family. I got daughters, I've got families, I got aunties, I've got most of my family are women, right? So, and I wouldn't like to see anything happen to those women in my family, or anybody abuse those women in my family. Yeah. But when I actually see this, the first thing that jumps into my head, and I've actually posted this on FB, and when I posted this on FB, 640 people agreed with me. My question was, why have they left it so late to come forward? Because if they had come forward a long time ago, the red flag would have been up. I heard that say, oh, the organizations are big and they're tough, and Russell Brand was something big. He could have controlled these people. But what I was saying is they could have the red flag would have been up, yeah? And the possibility of him, if this is true, the possibility of him doing this to other women, you know what I mean, there would have been a sign there, and it probably would have been investigated. So that was my whole take on the matter. And I don't know if it's true, or I don't know if it's false. You know what I mean? And as I say, we have to wait and see until if he ever been charged or it actually goes to trial. And at the time as well, I was saying, even when I saw the program, I was saying that, well, I didn't see the program says the program that I actually watched, the documentary that I actually watched, say they went to the police, and the police was, you know what I mean, they went to the police before the program was actually, nobody said they went to the police before, if you see where I'm going with that.
I've not seen the program, I've just seen a few TikToks and a few things on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't like to know that he had done something.
No,
like
no,
that,
no, of course not, of course not.
It's big. Obviously the TV and mainstream is a big industry.
Yes.
And you know, he's probably been able to have access, and because of his fame and who he is, maybe he has had access like that. But then, as you said, don't know if it's true. Don't know if it isn't.
What as well, he actually said he was no saint. You know, he literally says he's not a saint. Well, a saint. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of things he actually says he did. You know what I mean? Which is probably a lot of us wouldn't do anyway. You know what I mean? But as I say, those, and we're not here to sticking up for him. We're just trying to find a balance somewhere. You know what I mean? We're not here to sticking up for him. We wouldn't do that. So as I say, we're just here to sort of find a balance, and you can't sort of have trial by media. You know what I mean? You have to wait till the guy's charged, and then he goes down. If we start having trial by media and all that sort of thing, then where the hell are we going? Where is the law? You know what I mean? So we can't sort of have trial by media. And I think we have to wait till he has been charged. The police have charged him, and then he goes to court, and then you say, yes, you know what I mean? You was damn guilty in the first place, or you was damn innocent in the first place. So I think we need to sort of get to that stage, yeah? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can also leave your comments, yeah? Now, it's been raining today. Now, Hurricane Nigel came into the Atlantic. It got very, very strong this morning, but they say it's actually fading away now. But we in the UK are actually feeling the aftermath, the last part of it. You know what I mean? I say it was actually sweep across the Atlantic, and it went a little bit into the Caribbean. But I say that most of it has actually faded out now. So and I say we're actually feeling the last bit of it. You know what I mean? Thursday and Friday we're actually going to feel a lot more of it in the UK. And and as you know, in the Caribbean and the Atlantic, it's the hurricane season, so it's not a very, very good time. You know what I mean? So we hope all these storms that carry on. You know what I mean? We hope they don't do any damage or whatever, and that sort of thing. What are your take on hurricane?
Do you know, I don't really watch the weather.
Yes.
I just know that it's cold. I just know it's cold, and I might be going home to put my electric blanket on today.
Oh, you got an electric blanket?
Yeah,
yes.
Because it's been on and off raining, wet, cold. 1 minute it was just drizzling, and the next minute torrential downpours. I'm quite surprised at the weather today. Well,
this morning when I get up, and people say you talk about the weather. This morning when I get up, you should have seen it. It was raining because I got up early. It was raining, and it was raining, and it was raining. It never stopped. I think it never stopped until later on, you know what I mean? Much later on in the afternoon, it actually stopped. I don't know. Wow. I don't know if when you came into the studio, it was still raining. And
it's kind of eased off. It has kind of eased off, and there were some beautiful rainbows out there.
There was
over Alum Rock today.
I don't know if it was. I don't think it was that cold when I was traveling today. I don't think it was that cold. But it was raining a lot.
It kind of warmed up.
It kind of warmed up.
Yeah. So you don't know what to wear.
Yeah.
Thermals, layers, take them off, put them back on.
And if you're traveling a lot, Eddie, if you're traveling or you're moving around, you get very, very hot as well, don't you?
And then you take it all off and then you put it back on.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Have you ever been in a hurricane?
No.
You never been into a hurricane?
No.
If you ever been into a hurricane, it's one of the most frightening things you can ever imagine.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You can ever imagine. The wind is blowing and you want to come out the house, but you can't come out the house.
No.
It's blowing and it's blowing and it's blowing and it's blowing. And the rain is hitting the ceiling and it's hitting and it's hitting and it's hitting and it's hitting. And you want to come out the house and you can't come out the house.
Stay inside.
And I mean, like sometimes sometimes it goes like that for 48 hours and you want to get outside and you can't get outside. You know what I mean? And then you see all the trees and everything start bending, you know what I mean? And then when you actually go out, you see all the different landslides.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Which is and the roads are blocked and all that sort of thing. It is one of the most horrific things
Yeah.
you can ever think about. We're sitting here in the UK and we think, oh, it's happening over there, it's happening over there. And when the water comes, it's just flood everywhere. You know what I mean? And that's how it is. That's how it is.
So,
Right. Let me move on. Music. As I say, you are a big music lover, a big music fan, and also myself. So we're going to talk a lot about music.
yeah.
So let me start you off. Where can you remember hearing your first sort of tunes?
Okay.
Let's go back to your early days.
I'm going to go back
Yes.
to being a young child,
Okay.
and my mum will tell you that I danced before I walked
You danced before you walked.
and I sang before I talked.
Okay.
So we didn't have video cameras back
No.
then
No.
back in the 70s.
All right.
So I'm going to give you an example that my mum has told me, that I would stand in front of my dad's radiogram
Radiogram.
in my nappy
All right.
and just dance and sing
Great.
at probably the age of 1 and maybe 2.
Yeah. And what sort of music your family or your peers were actually listening to that particular period of time?
So I'm going to take you back a few years. On a Friday and Saturday, my dad would hold a blues.
A blues. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or a shubin.
A shoebian.
Yeah.
Yes.
The green light would go up in the hall,
All right.
and then we'd have to go to bed early.
Of course.
And then the drinks would come out, and all the friends would come over.
Yeah.
And then we weren't allowed downstairs.
No.
Then you would have, on a Sunday morning, we'd get up to and we'd hear from the radiogram Jim Reeves,
Okay.
distant drums,
Yes.
Elvis Presley,
Yes.
and lots of gospel.
Great.
So mixed in with a blend of reggae music at the same time.
Okay. Okay. I understand. That's great. That's great.
My job on a Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
because the music would be flowing all day
Yeah.
while we had breakfast, lunch, and then dinner.
Yeah.
And in the evening, my job would be to select the records on the gram.
Underground.
Yeah.
All right. That's great. That's great. It's a completely different background from what I actually have in music. You know, it's totally different. My first sort of get into music because I came to the UK very late, I should say. So my first sort of get into the music. I can remember I used to go to church.
Yeah.
And there was always we used to go to church, and there's a man. My whole family used to go to church. In fact, I was later told that we had the whole family. We had our own in the very early family. We had our own section of the church, so we had our own seats.
Okay.
In the whole of the church, and nobody else could go in there. That's why my grandmother used to tell me nobody else could go and use the seats because that's how we was. You know what I mean? At that particular time, because and the church wasn't far from us. But my very first sort of experience was like there was a man there, and he used to play guitar. I can't remember his name was Brother Johnson or Brother John, and he used to play guitar. And I thought, my days, that time, you know what I mean, that particular time, there's no way I was going to play guitar. Because my family, you have to get yourself a decent education.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My grandmother said, you have to get yourself a decent education. And music is not going to give you a living. You have to find a trade, whether you go to university, whether you go and study, you have to find a career. So at that particular time, I was into sort of, I was listening to a lot because I used to listen to what you call RJR in Jamaica. And also the JBC I used to listen to in Jamaica, you know what I mean? And I used to hear a lot of those ska records. Ska was well ahead, you know what I mean? Ska was, and I wasn't in the ska time, but they used to still play this ska music on the radio. And I remember going to school. I went to a school called Alston High School. And I remember going to Alston High School, and we had a dance. There was a dance there, and there was this lady. She actually one of the teachers, they put this tune on, and we was doing the ska, and we was going like this, and our hands was in between our legs like this, So that was my very very first sort of introduction to sort of music. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And that long before I actually get into when I moved to the UK, it became a different thing. You know what I mean? But I'll say I used to listen to a lot of music from Jamaica. I used to listen to also a lot of the festival songs because they always hear the festival songs on the radio. And every year when there was festival, the festival song that actually every year we actually used to hear that. And then I started getting to like my Bob Marley and my Burning Spear and the Mighty Diamonds and all those sort of stuff. You know what I mean? And when I came to the UK, one of my first albums that I actually listened to, a couple of guys. Ken Wood was pretty popular at the time. John Holt was also pretty popular. And then there was Bob Marley. I had listened to the sketch track that he made. I listened to Sing Down many years before that because we used to dance to that at school, even though I'm not at all.
I hear that.
We used to dance to that at school. And then when Bob Marley break with the Natty Dread album, I found that was my favorite Bob Marley album. Is the Natty Dread album, and a lot of tracks on the Natty Dread album I actually like. And the thing that I loved about it as well, it opens up like a book.
Yeah.
If you ever see the vinyl, it opens up like a book, and you could actually read all the songs and all who actually. There was also a photograph of the artist, and you could actually see who the production was and all the rest of it and the name of the artist. And not forget, before that, there was also one of my favorite albums, the Catch a Fire album. And I'm gonna give you a chance to I'm coming back to you now. The Catch a Fire album and the Concrete Jungle.
Yeah.
The Concrete Jungle. And you was like, you sort of get into pop music and classical music as well, didn't you?
So we had a diverse growing up. So my dad's from Jamaica.
Yeah.
And my mum's from England.
Okay.
From Birmingham. So we'd have Top of the Pops.
Right.
I remember Double Barrel was the first. There you go. It was the first song to be on Top of the Pops that came from Jamaica.
Okay.
And then obviously My Boy Lollipop.
Oh.
So that used to be
Billy Small.
That used to be the song where we took over the front room with our hairbrushes.
All right.
And we'd sing. On the flip side of that, we had neighbours that used to teach piano. So I used to collect the paper and go to their house and drop off the paper. And in exchange for me dropping off the paper, they'd teach me how to play piano.
All right.
Then when I went to school, secondary school, we had the opportunity to learn to play. I played the violin. My sister, 3 years later, she played the clarinet. And then I went on to learn a little steel pan. Yeah.
Yeah. The steel pan.
Yeah.
How did you find that?
I found it easy, but then I wasn't. When it started to get dark, I wasn't allowed to go all the way to the Midland Arts Centre to go and continue that. So that kind of faded away. So did the violin, because I could only learn how to play Three Blind Mice.
All right.
That's about as far as I went, and then I carried on. I kept leaving it on the bus.
You kept what?
Kept leaving the violin on the bus.
On the bus.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah,
my dad said that's gone out the window.
That's gone out the window.
So I continued to play the piano. We then got into choirs.
Okay.
So we sang in the choir. Myself and two friends, Carol and Paulette. Hi. We used to do performances at our secondary school. So we'd keep all the teachers and the children entertained. And I never forget singing Shaving Cream.
Is that
on the stage at school with
Pete Campbell did that, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, Pete Campbell. Yeah.
And I don't think everybody knew what the words meant. But that was an interesting part of my growing up. But yeah, we used to do musicals at school, and I performed at the town hall with Simon Rattle as a conductor. doing Joseph and his Technicolor
A lot of
Dreamcoat.
the school used to do that, didn't they?
Yeah. So-
I think it was one of those things that the school had to do at that particular period. Different schools used to do it at
Yeah.
a particular period of time.
They still do it.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's different ones now, and lots of different schools take part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about when you're moving into, say, your teenagers now, and you know?
So one of my first singles that I bought was Bob Marley, Buffalo Soldier.
Okay.
Now I remember growing up, and my birthday's on the same day as Bob Marley died on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I remember going through a phase where I just wanted to listen to Bob Marley.
Yeah.
So I'm a rebel. So I used to like.
Rebel music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a rebel.
That's the track from this Rebel music. That is track from the
There you
Natty Dread
go.
album. I used to love that as well.
So my first single that I bought was Buffalo Soldier from Woolworths on Soho Road.
Wow.
Yeah,
on Soho Road.
long time ago. They also used to do a very nice pick and mix. So on a Saturday, we'd go, and I think it was 99 pence
Wow.
when I bought that.
Is it?
Yeah. But our dad used to have a lot of singles that came over from Jamaica. So he used to play a lot of reggae music. So we had a diverse like household.
Yeah.
So you'd have classical music on one hand. We had neighbours that were Asian, so
Yeah.
we'd go to their houses and we'd hear Asian music. And then my mum used to love watching Asian films at night time.
Okay.
So we'd sneak downstairs and we'd hear. So we have opera. We had everything going on, but we always come back to reggae music. And I used to, on a Sunday, listen to Sunsplash. That used to come on. Is it Radio 1? Radio 1, and we'd try and tape the. On a cassette. So we'd have our tapes, our cassette, and we'd all be there trying to catch the charts or whatever music was playing without the DJ.
Yeah.
And the kids of today will never understand that.
Understand that. That is true. That is true.
And getting a pencil to reel it all back in.
And when it breaks, it's a nightmare because it ruins everything.
Got to fix it.
Yeah, if you don't fix it, it ruins everything. And sometimes you just tear it up and say, "Oh, I can't be bothered with this."
There you go. Lots of patience.
What about? Have you ever been into record shops? What about record shops? Have you ever been into record shops?
Oh, I'm going to give you a joke. We used to have Don Christie's.
Yeah.
In Birmingham City Centre.
I know Dan Christie's.
That's,
he also used to be on Ladypool Road in Spark Hill, I think. Ladypool Road in Spark Hill, yeah.
So you'd hear a song on, can I say it? PCRL? Yeah, I'm old. You'd hear a song on PCRL and we'd go into the shop and they'd never tell you what the title of the song was.
No, because they never do.
So we'd go into the shop and we'd be trying to hum the song or going, it goes like this. And they'd be like, sorry, I haven't got it, mate. So yeah, Don Christie's at the top of the market.
Yeah, top of the Borough
on
Market.
Saturday.
Market, yeah.
That used to be my favourite place to go.
Yeah.
But my grandma used to own a shop on Grove Lane, and they used to sell records next door.
Yeah, I've
in
heard,
her shop next door.
I've heard of that. I've known it very well. I used to go to a shop in my very sort of early days. I used to go to a shop on Lazar Road. It was all called Black Wax.
Okay.
Black Wax Record Shop, and there was also a very when I came over, there was also one on Heathview Road, but it was sort of, you go in there and you want a record, you know what I mean? But the shop was so packed, and I can't stand crowd anyway.
Yeah.
I don't do crowds. The shop was so packed, you know what I mean? Like you're trying to think, oh, because I'm new to this country anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm feeling my way around,
Yeah.
you know? And the shop is so packed anyway, and then sometimes you just feel totally intimidated, you know what I mean?
That you leave.
And you just leave. There was the same thing at one on Rookie Road. But the one on Rookie Road wasn't too bad because it was owned by a guy called Duke Never.
Yeah.
And Newt Neville, we used to call him Newt Neville because my friend lived in Hansworth. My lifetime friend, Phil, Philip.
Oh.
I chill with him, and we're still lifetime friends. I've known him from I actually comes to this country, so we're lifetime friends. So he didn't live too far from there. And we
Okay.
used to actually go to the shop there sometime, you know what I mean? And that's how that sort of started me going to the record shop,
Hanging
you know what I
out.
mean? And it was ever so good. What about sort of music? When you sort of left school and go into the groove sort of places you used to go,
We used
and
to.
some of the concert that you actually been to.
Oh, my first big concert was we went to see Jodeci
Jodeci.
at the NEC,
Okay.
and Mary J. Blige,
Very well.
Queen Latifah.
Okay.
That was 1991.
Wow.
Boys to Men.
What's that?
So we were very into soul,
Mhm.
and R&B, and then, as I said, a bit diverse. Last year I went to see Adamant.
You want
Yes.
to?
Stand and
Is
deliver.
it still going?
Yes, it's still
Stand
going.
and deliver.
Yeah.
Whoa, whoa.
And this is how bad it was. I had 6 free tickets and only I went.
Is it?
Yeah. I don't think anybody wanted to go with me.
Yeah.
It was okay. I had fun. Who else have I seen? Every year we do Taurus Riley or Berries when they come over
Then they come over.
for my birthday. Morgan Heritage.
Yeah.
We've also seen some ballet. We've also done opera. But we hang out a lot at the Jam House.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The Jam House,
So
yeah.
there's a lot of nice things and
going on
things
there.
going on there.
Yeah, because it's there's kind of nice things going on. It becomes that regular place now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, like I used to go to a place like Hummingbird. You know what I mean? And one of the bands I actually see at Hummingbird, one of the best shows. I mean, I've seen a lot of shows. I've even used to go to a couple of shows at the Odeon, at the Odeon.
Yeah.
You know, Bob Marley came there about 1974.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I didn't see that, but I know he was there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then after he did that, he went and did the No Woman No Cry Over. 'Cause that originally came from the Natty Dread album, a quicker version, and he went to the London Lyceum and he did a live version, which he actually slowed it down. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It was a slower version. The version that kick off, the big version that kick off, that was actually a live version. It was actually a slower version of the original, and it was called Live at the Lyceum, the album, and that's where that No Woman No Cry who got into the chart and got everywhere. That was a slower version of it, but it originally came from the actually Natty Dread album, and I still got the album now.
Wow.
On the original. And I said I used to go to like places like the Hummingbird. One of the best shows I see at the Hummingbird, I see a lot of shows. One of the best shows I actually see at the Hummingbird was the Tamlins.
Okay.
And the Tamlins,
Okay.
Michael Jackson was big at the time.
Yeah.
The Tamlins. And the Tamlins came on. And it was all just in whites. I think they carried the rough cut band with them. And I love bands.
Okay.
Bands is my favorite. That's when the band they carried the rough cut band. And they came on. And it was all just in whites. And if you ever see they do the Michael Jackson moonwalk and the body popping, they mash up the place.
Oh wow.
So that was good, you know what I mean? I also see people like Marcia Griffiths, the great Marcia Griffiths,
Yeah, I've seen
Shabba Ranks, you know what I mean? And I saw the Jacksons many, many years ago, the Jacksons. Saw the Jacksons, you know where the Bingley Hall is, you heard of the Bingley Hall?
Yes.
Well, the Bingley Hall actually sort of was behind the Symphony Hall.
Yeah.
In that sort of area. There's a pub there as well. Saw the Jacksons there.
Wow.
Which was actually fantastic, you know.
Yeah.
And saw James Brown at a club called Barbarella's.
Okay.
And he actually did 2 shows at Barbarella's. You know, he actually did 2 shows. He did an early show and he did a midday show, which was actually fantastic, you know what I mean? So,
Okay.
but I started very young,
Yeah.
you know. What about clubbing? Clubbing where you wish to go and all that sort of thing? What are some of your favorite clubs and
I have to-
socializing?
At the age of 16, no, this is going back a bit. Wasifa was playing at the Oaklands.
I know. Oh, the Aucklands.
Yeah.
What is?
And I convinced my dad to give me £5 to get in. But he decided he was going to take me to a proper show.
Okay.
So he took me to Alcazar.
I know Alcazar.
Yeah.
Wow.
At the top of Holyhead Road.
I've been there a couple of times. Not a lot.
There. So he took me in there to show me how real music was played. We used to go to places like Summerfield Centre,
Yeah.
and you'd have proper black dances. So and that would be a Saturday night.
Yeah.
So and like I said, the music would be amazing. But my first experience of going out by myself was, we'll go back to the Alcazar story. So my dad took me to Alcazar, and after that had finished, he let me go into, he paid for me to go to Wasifat, and he let me go with my best friend. We were only 16 at the time. And yeah, I obviously looked older. That was my first experience of standing next to the speakers.
A speaker box.
Yeah, and being blown away
Yeah.
by the noise and the volume of what was coming out of there.
Great.
And being moved by the speaker.
Great.
And watching the drinks like move across the top. We used to go to Tasha's.
Yeah, I know
Tasha's, obviously not here no more.
No.
Frontline, Beehive.
What was the other one across the road? I think early. My parents used to go there way back in the day. I think it was Tasha's, but I think it's early started out as Santa Rosa.
Oh, is it?
That was the original name for it. I think it was, and because you had it was Santa Rosa, and then you had the Monte Carlo across the road.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then never gone there. I wasn't sure then. But my father is a saxophonist. He's no longer with us.
Oh,
so
wow.
he used to play with all these places. He used to play with Mr. Barley Wine. He used to play with the guy who the saxa. You know, saxa from the Beats when the Beats started. He used to play with all these other guys. You know what I mean? So. And that's how he did the circuit, you know what I mean, on all the local places, like the Crampton Arms,
Oh, wow.
you know, all these simple. But for me, it's always sort of been music. I mean, I do a lot of things that I do a lot. For me, it's always been sort of music, and I sort of get into music when I actually came here because I didn't have any friends. Ooh. I didn't have any friends. And when you leave somewhere and travel somewhere else, you don't realize how it can how strange it is. It was strange then. My brother wasn't living at home. My sister wasn't living at home. So the only person that was actually living at home was my parents.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and I could swim. I'm a very good swimmer, so I could swim, right? Yeah. And I used to go swimming. I used to go to swimming at Newtown Swimming Centre.
Okay.
Because it wasn't far from where we was living at the time. And then I used to I got involved in music. I started getting music. I went to music school. Because this was helping me mentally and physically in what I wanted to do. But I'm still concentrating on my career of where I want to go. You know what I mean? How successful I want to do career-wise. Yeah. So music has always been a part of me, though. And I actually met a couple of guys who we started a band together. You know what I mean? So those are my very, very early days. One of my good friends, a guy called Ike, what we used to do then, he was like the bass player in the band. Very, very good. He plays everything now. He's a multi-instrumentalist. Instrumentalist. And what he's not living in this country anymore. What we used to do, he used to what we used to do now, and this allowed me to see so much bands across the West Midlands. It's ridiculous, and even the UK. And what we used to do, he used to go around and he used to take photographs of different groups, not like how it is now. And what he used to do is give the photograph back to these guys, artists who wanted to see themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm only going back probably to the 80s, but it wasn't happening this wasn't something that happening. You see photograph of groups everywhere now, but this wasn't happening. We photographed Steel Pulse, we photographed Slade, we photographed Bashara. There's the photograph Jackie Graham. Jackie Graham early started with a band called Ferrari. Yeah. But she actually used to be with a band called Calico. We photographed a band called Juice. There's no band across the West Midlands that we didn't photograph. I was sort of learning the developing thing, you know, from a dark room. You know, you have a dark room where you develop the things like, you know. So Duran Duran, we photographed Duran Duran.
Wow.
Duran Duran. I recall one of the early guys told us a story about Duran Duran, and he was saying that one of the guys just before Duran Duran went big, what happens? he didn't want to use the makeup thing, and he wasn't into the whole romantic thing, and he actually left Duran Duran.
Wow.
And one of the guys was actually telling us, a photograph musical youth. But
Okay.
as I said, I'm not taking credit for that. My friend Ike, he was the main guy who was actually doing this. I was just the carrier, you know.
Yeah.
I was just the carrier and the assistant, you know what I mean. And I'm proud to say that, because some people say them do this and them do this and them do this. And lead, I wouldn't say I was doing that anymore. I was just his accomplishment.
Part of it.
I went in and just part of it. So those are some of the things we saw. So while I was doing this, I was getting to see different bands. There was a band we photographed called Light of the World. You know what I mean, all these bands. I think Light of the World, a couple of members went to play with Level 42,
Wow.
and all those sort of guys we used to do. But it was actually a great learning lots of experiences. And I used to go to like clubs and hear my friend Philip. He actually introduced me to sound system. He was like a big sound system guy. So we used to sort of go and see all these big sound systems, Quaker City, Studio City,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean, you name them. Duke never had a sound system, you know what I mean. Jamaican, we used to go and see all these different sound systems across the arm. The only thing I used to say to it, it's a bit heavy on my ears.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, bless.
I was asking you, what about sort of going out and socializing when you sort of get into the bigger groove now? You know what I mean?
I've always wanted to sing. So I did a vocal course, which that allowed us to travel.
Yeah.
So I went and sang. I sang in Spain.
Okay. And how do you find it?
It's different because out there, it's not that over here it doesn't appreciate music, but I think there's a lot of I don't know how you put it,
Participate here
participating.
in the UK.
So like if you're performing, a lot of people have a lot of things to say,
Yes.
whereas there's more appreciation in different
Spain.
parts of the
world.
in the world.
Yes.
I'm gonna say,
Yes, some places are very, very tough to crack.
yeah,
Yes.
that's the one.
That's the one. Some places are very, very tough to
Yeah,
crack.
hard audiences.
Very, very hard audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they will have a lot of things to say.
Yes, yes.
So if you're not good enough, then
And it's not always positive things, is it?
No.
It can be very, very hurtful.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I've had it a couple of times.
Yeah.
you just got to take it with a pinch of salt
Or
and
if
move
you
on.
hit the wrong note.
Yes, you know what I mean, or
just-
even when you just started and you're playing out a tune because you just learning to tune your
Yeah,
guitar
there
properly,
you
and
go.
you haven't learned the experience of tuning your guitar properly,
Yeah.
and your guitar suddenly goes to tune. You know what I mean? You get hammered for it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the trouble about it is that a lot of these places you was actually doing it voluntarily. You wasn't getting paid for it. You know what I mean? And the audience, a lot of the audience wasn't paying to go into these places anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of them was just bars, not bars. There was just clubs and pubs and all the rest of it. So it can be very, very tough game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how did you move on after that? You move on.
I then became a mother.
A mother, yeah.
Yeah. So stayed at home a lot, but then introduced the kids to lots of diverse music. Rap became one of the things. So Coolio
How do you find rap?
and LL Cool J. I like rap, just not with words in there that
Yeah,
inappropriate words.
I was talking about that last week.
We'll
Yeah, we was
keep
talking
that
about
out
last week.
of the.
Yeah.
But then I gospel, so after that, as you said, go to church. Was in several of the choirs. Done a few performances at Aberdeen Street.
Okay.
Church. Some big concerts in London. With the choir. That's great. And then now I am chasing a singing career,
You're chasing a
which
singing
is
career.
kind of okay.
Which
yeah.
is okay, which is
Having
great.
fun.
Which is great.
Um,
You got to that stage where you're back to where
yeah,
you want to be.
I've gone full circle and started all over again.
Yeah. And you say you're chasing a singing career. What exactly are you doing?
So I sing reggae gone country and a few other things.
Okay.
I I've just started getting back into playing my piano again.
How do you find that?
It's kind of easy still, because it's like riding a bike. You never forget. It's just
When you learn the basics, provided you learn
the fingers.
Provided you learn the basics.
Yeah. So it's just the fingers. Yeah, getting back into it.
Yeah.
So it's all fun and games.
Yes. What about shows? Are you planning on doing any shows and that sort of thing?
Not myself, but I am co-manager of a band which is doing very well at the moment, and they're out there. So lots and lots of performances coming up.
And how do you find managing a band?
It's the boss is fine.
The boss is what?
The boss is fine, and they're all great. So they're helping me learn the business side of stuff.
Are they a young band?
No.
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 Is that what you want to sort of get into, or will you consider?
I'd like to do
management?
management or performance event managing.
Yeah.
So that's why I got into the security to, help with the management side of it.
Okay.
But I've ended up working in the school.
So how do you sort of find it working in the school?
It's great.
Yeah.
But they also want to start a choir, so
Okay.
the experience of that side and knowing that I have people who started bands are there to support. So they're ready with curriculum and stuff.
Great.
To help because we're finding that a lot of music is dying out. Live music, everything's going computerized.
Yeah.
So live music is not dying, but
It's going on a different. It's taking a different journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's time we kept live music live.
Yeah, live. I love my live music. I haven't played for a while, but I love playing. You know what I mean? I love music from my musical, my musical thing. I gotta call it thing. It comes from so vast. It's just so vast. I go to music from the blues. Cause that's where I started. Because when you're playing guitar, you have to learn the blues.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we go from the sort of the blues, and then we go to the soul. The soul. And when I'm talking about soul, I'm talking about the stack sound.
Yeah.
Otis Redding. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Sam Cooke. Now,
Yep.
I said this many times. If I ever had the chance to jam with a group, and I'm not that old. there was way before me.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have jammed with Booker T and the MGs.
Oh wow.
Great band, you know what I mean? All those sort of artists I love, you know what I mean? Also the Staple Singers.
Oh,
If you read all those sort of music, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then and I'm coming forward, and I'm coming forward. Oh, when you mentioned Motown, the whole Motown era I love. But also one of my favorite artists is Curtis Mayfield with the Impressions.
Yeah.
All that sort of music
Brilliant.
I'm talking about, you know what I mean? So, because those are the main influence.
Yeah.
Those are the influence that actually, even though reggae music influenced a lot of these artists, those are where Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Bunny Wailer, all get their inspiration from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we go back to those guys. I'm listening to those guys who Bunny Wailer, Peter Tosh, Jimmy Cliff, and all these guys used to listen to.
Yeah.
So that is where that is my whole musical sort of. Then I'm coming forward and I'm listening to a lot of I'm listening to rock bands because I'm listening to everything.
Yeah.
I'm listening to rock bands and I haven't come to my R&B yet. You know what I mean? I haven't come to what I would call my R&B yet, and I haven't come to my hip hop yet. So I'm listening to everything. There's a band called Weather Report. I'm listening to. You know what I mean? There was a guy called, I don't know if you ever heard a guy called, there's a drummer called Billy Cobham.
No.
Billy Cobham is like the greatest drummer in the world. He's an African American.
Wow.
And what he does, he plays and he's playing and he plays, but he used double bass drums.
Okay.
2 bass drums. And when he's going boop, 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 and he turns them to the double bass drums, it takes the whole thing to a level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and he's like this.
Well, one of my favourite singers is Billie Holiday.
Yeah, of course, the great Billie Holiday. There's another guy called Stanley Clarke.
Yeah.
I used to go out with this girl, and Stanley Clarke is like na 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 na. That's called School Days.
Yeah.
The track is called School Days. And I remember going out with this girl, and I went and put that on vinyl. I went and played it in her house. And she was to think, what the hell is this guy playing? You know what I mean? But Stanley Clarke is probably one of the best, also one of the best bass players in the world, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Never mind your Larry Graham and all these kind of guys, you know what I mean? So that's how my whole, and I'm listening because I want to learn. To me, music is a whole learning experience. It's not just it's not something just, you know, just listen to your dance or whatever. It's a whole, I'm trying to learn. And I'm not the best guitarist. In fact, I'm not a very, very good guitarist. But I'm learning and I'm learning. I've got a lot of knowledge of here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's, as I said, there's like, I used to go and see people like, a guy I actually saw who was actually brilliant. He's no longer with us, and you know this band. The Brothers Johnson.
Yeah.
Louis Johnson.
Oh.
Fantastic bass player.
Not here no more.
Fantastic. I saw him at the Odeon, and he had a box. He had a box on stage. And he was going like this, boom, 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 boom. The first time I ever saw that. And he was just thumping the bass out, you know. Louis Johnson was also a session man for Quincy Jones. And he plays on a lot of the Michael Jackson. He was a session bass player for Michael Jackson. Off the wall, he plays on Off the Wall.
Wow.
So those are the sort of things. And I'm listening to my reggae as well, you know, because my reggae,
At the same time.
I was all this. I'm listening to my reggae, and I'm getting influenced by my whole reggae journeys of it. So those are something. And then I come to my. I even listen to disco. I'm dropping into my disco here.
Yeah.
You know, and all those sort of things. But it's been great, you know. It's been absolutely fun. Then I'm coming to my 90s, my 80s, and my 90s, my Shaka Khan, my Whitney Houston.
We can continue all night.
I know.
Just naming people.
And all those sort of people, which is absolutely a whole great, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A whole great
Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The great Mariah Carey, you know what I mean?
Aswad.
Some of your favorite female artists. Who are some of your favorite female artists?
TLC.
TLC.
Like I said, Mary J. Blige, Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna slip in a Celine Dion
Okay.
in there too. Like I said, Billie Holiday. I could talk about music all night.
Yeah. Same here.
Not even going into calypso.
Yeah, we haven't touched that.
We haven't even touched there yet.
We haven't touched the great Patrice Roberts.
Carnival.
And Carnival.
Carnival tunes. Panorama. I used to listen to the tunes from Panorama, and my friend would go every year and get me a tape, CD, bring it, and we'd listen to that. I never forget, my dad used to tell me that I couldn't listen to the music in the house. Although he used to play music, he could play his, I couldn't play mine. So I remember when my mum bought me my first Sony Walkman.
Yeah.
And the first tape that I had was Bob Marley
Yeah.
with I'm a Rebel on there.
I'm a Rebel.
And I used to sing
Soul
that.
Rebel.
Yeah.
And they've covered that track so many years, over the
many
years.
times. But
Yeah.
then my first actual album when I was grown up was Aswad.
Aswad.
And my favourite song on there was Concrete Jungle.
Serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was one of them that made me understand that there's a lot of things out there in the world.
Was that the cover of the Bob Marley Concrete Jungle,
Yeah.
or was it something else?
There was a
great,
cover.
Great tune. I love
Yeah.
that tune. There's an American guitarist that actually do
Does
the
it?
overdubbing on that.
Yeah.
And the guitar that you hear on the album, the overdubbing after it, it's an American guitarist, and he's absolutely brilliant.
Wow.
He's absolutely. I remember my good friend Victor said to me, we was actually just started in music, and he says, "Have a listen to this." And I listened to this, and I listened, and I listened, and I listened. I still can't play it up to a teen up until this day because it got so much overdubbing. It's great track. Great track.
We could do it. There's loads of genres.
Yeah. And what about the sort of big sort of reggae culture, like the roots rock reggae and all that sort of thing?
There was a big band that came from Birmingham, from
Yeah.
Handsworth.
Yeah.
Obviously Steel Poles.
Yeah. Steel Pulse
Now
is
we
great.
weren't allowed to listen to that
Steel Pulse.
because that was too political.
The Handsworth Revolution album.
Revolution,
Serious?
yeah,
Yeah.
too political. So that wasn't allowed. We weren't allowed to listen to that in our house. So
Okay.
I'm just getting into. It's been about 5 years, and I'm getting into the Steel Pulse
Serious.
thing.
I love that album.
So, and I'm learning that what all the politics was about.
Yeah. I was always a big fan of Steel Palace. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because I actually grew up in Hansworth. Well, when I originally lived in Hansworth. I originally lived in Hansworth, so it was actually great. You know what I mean? And I've seen these guys many times. We used to go down the park. And we used to
Yeah.
park our car, and we used to sit on the car in the park.
Definitely.
Because you could drive into the parks and
Then.
you just sit on the car and just you hear some music, just thump it out. You know what we call thump it out. It was absolutely great. You know, those days.
It's a shame they've stopped Carnival.
It is a shame they stopped Carnival. And I mean, I don't know why they stopped it. It is a shame. And you have Derby has their carnival, you have
Yeah.
Nottingham's had their carnival, and you have London, Notting Hill carnival.
Yeah.
So why the carnival in Birmingham, I don't know.
But,
Don't
so
know.
maybe we should fight to bring it back.
Maybe we should fight to bring it back. But I don't know if we're going to get it back because Birmingham, what they say, is bankrupt.
Yeah. Oh, there's a whole new topic.
No, there's a whole new topic. How can a city, one of the biggest metropolitan districts in Europe, goes bankrupt?
Yeah.
Yes. They got so much land. The other thing, you know, I caught a couple of nights ago that there was which really annoys me, which really winds me up. That there was actually talking about selling different things. And one of the things I was actually talking about, no, it's not official yet, but one of the things I actually saw in the news is that they may sell Aston Hall,
Oh no.
or they may sell the library, or they may sell part of the airport, because I don't think the whole of the airport belongs to them. You know? So they may sell that, you know what I mean? But I don't understand. I wish somebody would. I know they talk about the unfair pay, the equal pay.
Yeah.
But the council must generate a lot of money anyway.
Yes.
They've got loads of land.
Yeah.
They've got loads of property that they lease and they rent out. You know, how can you go bankrupt? I don't understand it. It makes it doesn't make any sense at all. I can't understand it.
Can't fathom
I can't
it.
say.
No.
And the trouble about it as well, finally, the trouble about it, we are gonna have to pay, because I'm sure they're gonna put up our rates, or they're gonna
Yeah.
put up this. They're probably gonna put up
Council tax.
They're probably gonna put up the rates and the rents and council. So it's the poor people again that's gonna feel it. The thing about it as well, you know, nobody ever seems to sort of. I mean, the government has put a commissioner in there, but nobody ever seems to sort of. How do you say? There never seems to be any justice.
No.
It's the same, like, you remember the hospital? I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about a different side. You remember the big hospital in Smedic? That went bankrupt, and it was there for years and years and years and years, and nothing happens.
Yeah.
Work stopped on it. They've started working on it again, but it's not going to finish until 2024. Nobody sort of being, you know what I mean, sort of...
Held accountable.
That's the word I'm looking for. Nobody's been held accountable for this. And it's the same thing we're going to see probably with Birmingham Council, whoever runs our city, is that nobody is going to be held accountable for it. What do you think, guys? Leave your comment there. It's been fun. Cherry, let me say thank you for coming into the studio
Thanks for having me.
and having a great chat. It was fun, wasn't it? Yeah.
Like I
Great.
said, I could talk about music
Yeah,
all
we
night.
could do it.
Yeah.
We should do this again.
Yeah.
We should do this again.
Part 2.
Part 2. Great. Let me say thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Right, guys, there you have it. Another What's on Your Mind finish. I want to say thanks, my wonderful guest, Cherry. And I say massive respect to all you guys who actually tune into the program. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Please share the program. God bless you. We'll see you next week with another What's on Your Mind. Big shout out to my producer,